Hello?
All right. Yes. I just wanted to make sure. I hope that I merged the calls so that it works.
Well, make sure it's working.
Yeah. Let me see if it's conference. It looks like it is. I hit merge, so it should be good.
Okay, all right. Make sure there's no noise too, because that'll block. All right.
Well, I don't have much. I don't have much of a choice. I have dogs in the car right now, but that's the best I can do.
Okay, well, but it has to be correct. So, okay, maybe I could give you the imbalance now, and then I'll give you the corrections when there's no interference. How's that?
I don't know when I'm going to have no interference. It was hard enough to arrange for no interference for a couple of hours today. So this is probably the best it's going to be.
I don't hear any noise right now. It's just
okay, great.
Okay, all right, because it won't record necessarily past the noise sometimes. That's what happens.
I see.
Okay, all right. So here, let me tell you what's at the balance first. And so remember, this is not medical. This is different. This is imbalances, but the imbalances have their effects. Okay, so number one is liver, then heart tissue, adrenals, thymus, thyroid, pancreas, pineal, pituitary. That's basically your whole endocrine system. Okay? So your hormones need to be better balanced, right? That's what that ultimately means. Like with adrenals, that affect energy. With thymus, that affect, that directly also affect the lungs. Thyroid, that affect, adrenal and thyroid would affect electrical flow in the brain, for example. But also circulation of blood back down. The thyroid is responsible for that, so you don't overcharge the brain. In relation to your situation.
Okay.
The pancreas, you could get anxiety from that. You could get anxiety from adrenals producing too much cortisol.
Sure.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. And also, if your brain doesn't get enough proper glucose uptake because the pancreas is not doing its job and the liver is not doing its job, then you're going to have that issue creating brain stress and anxiety and so-called this emotional thing or that emotional thing. Okay, and then pineal and pituitary. Okay, so then those are the sleep organs. So that, I don't know how your sleep is, but even if you sleep X number of hours, if the pineal and pituitary are not balanced, you won't reach the stress-releasing deep sleep impact. Because sleep repairs the brain, right? And also sleep erases stress for the day.
Right.
But that's if you go deep enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so lungs and lung elasticity. Okay, so when you have both the thymus and the lung electricity and lung elasticity, so you could say, okay, I got asthma. But instead of saying you have asthma, we just say lung elasticity and lung energy and thymus, that's enough, and the adrenals, that's more than enough to create symptoms that one might call asthma sometimes. Okay, and then blood vessels and vascular stress. So you're probably too young to have spider veins in your legs or anything of the sort, but eventually you start to get spider veins and then eventually varicose veins if you keep this way. And also another vascular stress symptom, like if you ever get dizzy or lightheaded, especially if you sleep for a while and then you stand up quickly and you get lightheaded.
All the time, yeah.
That's serious vascular stress. Okay, lymphatic system, which you probably want to be aware of, sulfur, and fatty acids. Sulfur and fatty acids affect cell respiration, so that's energy at that level. Also, fatty acids, of course, will affect the brain because brain fats. If you can't assimilate your fatty acids and metabolism properly, you're not going to get the brain fat proper. And if you don't get the brain fat proper, you're not going to get the protein folding proper. If you don't get the protein folding proper, you won't get the dopamine proper. Then it creates a whole bunch of problems. Okay, and so vitamin A, B vitamins. There's also Roundup in your blood or glyphosate. So I don't know if you're in an area where they're spraying and you see nice little yellow flags afterwards when the neighbor sprayed the grass, but that affects the hormones as well. So in other words, that's like fake estrogen, xenoestrogen, which also affects emotions.
Can I ask you about that? Just because, so I'm in an area where that's not the case. I'm actually in a very, people don't touch their grass where I am, but I did grow up with that. Is that something that would have been the case?
It doesn't body that easily because what happens to if you research Roundup, because it's in copycat, right? You're talking about something that goes on the receptor sites where estrogen is supposed to go.
Mhm.
So if it fills up that receptor site, and also the receptor site holds on to it, thinking it's actually the proper estrogen, when it's not. So whether it's from there or trained from there, you just didn't get it out.
Okay.
Or whether you could have it in your diet, or you could have it coming downwind, let's say, from another area, or it coming down the rain because it's another neighborhood a little further up. I mean, there's so many different ways. Okay? All right, then cold and flu bacteria. Now, you may say, well, how could I have cold and flu bacteria if I don't feel any symptoms? Well, your immune system is just not reacting to it. Okay? Okay, fatty acids, vitamin E is in Edward, vitamin C is in cat, calcium, iodine, pancreatic enzymes, gallbladder, hydrochloric acids. So that means your whole digestive system, your digestive enzyme system needs to be strengthened. There's intestinal yeast, so I don't know if you ever feel bloated or gassy. That's one of the symptoms of it. But also when you have intestinal yeast, it produces acidoaldehydes. Acidoaldehydes is like a fake sugar, a sugar alcohol. That could create brain fog. That could create many different things. All right? I've even seen people get emotional disorders because of intestinal yeast. Like that went systemic. If it goes systemic, then that's the thing. Also the spleen. Right. I forgot to mention spleen. So spleen, so the immune response is not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. These are things that people get used to they're not even aware of. Especially if you don't get enough sun, it would affect that also.
Yeah. I mean, I have been taking D supplements for a long time, but I don't get enough sun.
Yeah. Okay. And then so kidneys also. So, but that one you'd have water retention or maybe eventually some degree of back pain, but it depends on what stage with that one. Because a lot of people don't, because remember, it's like we're intercepting early and, in process of what you're aware of and what you're not aware of. So some kidney stress, but that could be secondarily caused by the yeast. Okay, and then colon. So I don't know how often you move your bowels, but unless you're moving your bowels 2-3 times.
Really?
Sorry?
Or at least once a day. I have really no trouble.
Okay, once a day. All right. But there's still yeast. So, I mean, you don't feel bloated ever, you said? Or you do?
I do.
Okay, yeah. So that's going to strain the colon also. Even though you're like, I'm moving my bowels, but we'll see what happens when you get in the program, the volume and the frequency, or even the volume alone. But once a day is constipation. Okay? In this society, we think once a day is not constipation, but that's constipation in other societies.
I see.
All right? Okay, because if it's once a day, that's only 3 and 6.
At least. Honestly, it's at least. I generally don't have trouble with that, which has been good for the most part. It feels that way anyway,
Okay, all right. Okay. We'll see what changes when you get in the program. Okay, so ovaries, there's hormonal imbalance with the ovaries, breast, there's some cystic cells, but you probably won't feel it or be aware of it at this stage.
No, I've had a lot of ultrasounds because of the cystic activity in my body in general. I've experienced cystic acne for a lot of my life, but I notice when I eat a lot of sugar, I get the last week I've actually eaten a lot of sugar, and my upper back has broken out in cysts, and whereas when I cut out sugar, I don't experience that at all. But yeah, with the in regard to the cysts on the breast, I've gone for a number of ultrasounds for that, so that's interesting. Okay,
all right, so you're aware.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then the nodes of the heart. So there's heart tissue and the nodes of the heart both. So there's 2 aspects. Okay, choline. That's one of the B vitamins. So it converts into
choline, like inositol. Choline and
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's neurochemistry will be affected by that. Okay. So the atlas wedge, the first bone your skull sits on top of, is out of position, but that's very common. That's when
Say that again? I missed that.
The atlas wedge, the first bone that your skull sits on top of.
Okay.
So that's usually when the chiropractor twists your neck around trying to crack that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I don't know if you go to chiropractors and they're like, your atlas.
I don't. I mean, I haven't been to one in many, many years. Is that something you would consider?
No, I'm just saying it's a common thing, the atlas being off. All you have to do is lay too low or fly too much or whatever, and the atlas goes off.
I see.
Okay, but that affects electrical flow in the brain. Like if you ever adjust the atlas, you'd probably feel like, energy just went up into my head, my eyesight just got a little sharper.
I see.
Shifting the atlas. Okay, iron metabolism is poor. So some people might say...
Iron, did you say?
Iron, yeah. So some people might...
Yeah. I mean, I also take an iron supplement every day. Of course, I didn't this morning because of, I didn't take anything this morning, but...
It wouldn't change in one day. So your metabolism of the iron is poor. Part of it is because how could you have good iron metabolism with the pancreas off, with the thyroid off, with the liver off? How's that going to happen? So
right.
we're talking about poor assimilation, okay? Poor metabolism of the iron. Poor interaction.
Is that contributing also to the dizziness that I experience if I get up quickly? Like, for instance, after...
The dizziness, okay, there's several things. One, if the adrenals are not pushing the blood up in your brain correctly and the thyroid is not pushing the blood back down, circling it up and down correctly, that's one thing.
Right.
But when you have the vascular stress points off on both sides of your neck, it's, I don't want to terrify you, but they'd say, okay, that's risk of stroke, for example, right? So you got to fortify that. So beyond those parts, you have the direct vascular stress. Okay, so in other words, your osmotic pressure regulation in your blood vessels is not that good because your elasticity of your blood vessels is not as good as it should be.
Is that something that, is there something other than supplements or diet that I could be doing to change? Because I do move every day, so No.
Don't worry. We'll eventually get to that and strengthen that. Okay?
But I'm just curious, do you know that's, could it also be related to exercise? Because...
You need to nourish your vessels.
Okay.
Okay. You're not going to fix that with exercise. You need to nourish your vessels. If anything, I would not push any pressure, heavy weight above the head. I wouldn't do anything that causes blood to lodge in too hard in any area of the body because the elastic tissues are not strong enough to handle it. That's why you're getting the... So
like inversions if I do any sort of inversions, is that...
All of that you have to be careful of.
Okay.
If you're going to do an inversion, do it only at a certain mild angle. Don't go straight upside down.
Okay.
You don't notice. You never notice that maybe your blood vessels get a little too expanded if you're doing an exercise.
Well, when you say blood, like looking at my veins and seeing
Yeah.
Yeah. My blood vessels are generally very expanded. Like I'm a very veiny person, so it's hard for me to tell.
So here's the thing. Notice when people get older, what happens in the back of their hands and such? You see big, massive veins. Bad? It's bad because you're losing elasticity, which is why the veins are so expanded.
Sure.
Yeah. So
and I've always, even since a child, I've been that way, but it's interesting. My sister is the complete opposite. She has veins you can't get to, and we're both in the same family. But yes, Anyway.
So whatever it is, it's like your nutritional requirements for proper nourishment of your vascular system. Maybe you just didn't get enough for you in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, because you shouldn't have big veins as a kid. That's an elastic tissue weakness symptom.
Okay.
All right. So iron and then vitamin D and then brain. So the brain tested a week all around. So you got to fix a bunch of things to balance out the electricity in your brain and to also nourish your brain and help your brain upregulate nutrient uptake that it needs. And then glutamine, so that's a major one with the brain also. So half the driveway of the brain is glutamic protein, half that protein is glutamic acid. Glutamic acid converts to glutamine. So now if you're talking about evacuating, for example, ammonia and such, or even combating yeast and leaky gut and the leaky gut affects the brain, glutamine is an important component.
Okay.
And then your eyeballs are undernourished, your eyes. Okay, there's mercury and lead. I don't know if you ever tested for that.
Oh.
Sorry?
Oh, I said, yikes. That's scary.
Well, I don't know if it's scary. It's just that there's more in your body than should be. Okay, so I guess you don't have any fillings, silver amalgam fillings? Or you never
What kind of fillings?
Fillings in your teeth. The so-called silver fillings.
Oh, silver fillings. No, I have none.
Okay.
0.
Did you ever eat a lot of fish, tuna, or anything like that in your life?
Tuna, I guess I was on a kick for a while. I was a tuna eater, but not in a while. And it wasn't like I overate tuna, but I did eat tuna.
Whatever it is, there's also mercury in the lawn chemicals. Okay, if you look at the ingredients in lawn chemicals, mercury is one of them, not just
it's crazy, the lawn chemical thing,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can look it up. You'll see. Is there mercury in lawn chemicals? You'll see, yeah, there is mercury in lawn chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay, and then parasites, some intestinal parasites. Okay. Protein metabolism. Both knees, there's some stress in the knees. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I've always had stress in my knee. I've had I have the knobby knees, but yeah. I also, I had a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus that I let resolve on its own on my left side. So that was 5 years ago or so, but it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect.
And then the nerves, and then there's one virus. Okay, so, all right, so I can start giving you the supplements unless you have questions about these.
No, I mean, I'm curious to hear about the nerves and the virus.
Well, I mean, go test for herpes.
Yeah, I know about HSV1.
Okay.
I'm aware of this.
Okay. All right, so you know you have it already. All right.
Yeah.
I tell people, and they're like, I don't have that, and it's like, oh, boy.
Yeah, no, I tested.
Then I go get a medical test. I get the medical test. They're like, oh, my God, I didn't know I had herpes. Yep, okay.
It has to be. I think that one has to be active in order for them to be able to find it. But I did test positive for that. Yeah, I thought this was 2 years ago, and that was still battling with that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've had plenty of people who never had a herpes symptom, and I go tell them.
Lucky them. Lucky them. That's all I can say.
No, but I'm saying, but they find it in the blood work.
Right.
Like surprise and shock. Oh my God! How does the guy know with a picture that I have herpes? I didn't know I had herpes. He knew I had herpes, and it came up in blood work.
Yeah.
Like one person in particular, the doctors and nurses insisted you're wasting your time doing the herpes test. I said, look, just get it done. She told them just do it. They did it, and wham, it came up positive for herpes. They're like, oh my God, we would not even think that you would have herpes. That you're just wasting this test. Because you never had a symptom, how could you have it?
Right.
So it proved to the doctors that, well, their own books say you don't have to have a symptom to have herpes.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So any questions about these before I start with the new stuff?
The nerves that you mentioned?
Yeah, well, I mean, basically your nerves are undernourished.
Okay.
All right. So anxiety and nerves go hand in hand. Anxiety and adrenals and nerves go hand in hand. And anxiety, nerves, adrenals, and brain go hand in hand.
Yeah.
All right.
So once I get to the program, I mean, do you see a significant, on your end, just because I've dealt with pretty severe memory issues all my life, but particularly since the brain injury, and I'm just curious if you see me following the program, is that something I might see alleviated?
I never guess. I test. Like, for example, right, if I guessed, would I know you had herpes? No. If I guessed, would I know about the cystic breast? No. If I guessed, would I know about the knees? No. So we don't guess, we test.
Okay.
Your body will show us what to do.
Okay.
So the thing is that if you look at the glutamine and the choline alone, how are you going to have a memory when your acetylcholine, which depends on choline, the conversion of choline to acetylcholine is poor? First, you're not metabolizing the choline, then obviously not converting into acetylcholine, and you're low in B vitamins, or poor metabolism or conversion of B vitamins because of your liver.
Right. Okay.
Glutamine, and then the yeast eating away the glutamine, causing the leaky gut, affecting the brain, producing a bunch of alcohol. How are you going to have good memory with all that? Right? And that's just the beginning. Your body's smarter than me. So how could you have a good memory with the thyroid being not working as it should, which is not giving the brain its proper electrical balance and therefore not its proper circulation? Then you have the vascular stress. How is the brain going to have a proper blood circulation when you have vascular stress? Right?
Yeah, the vascular stress is distressing to hear about. But
well, you don't have to be distressed. It's just that you already know you have it, obviously, from your symptoms. I'm just telling you what it is. So no need to be distressed, right? It's something to be happy about. Instead, I'll take the happy angle. Happy to know that at least some guy with a picture telling you a bunch of things that you have, right?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm very grateful, if anything. Yeah, for sure.
So take it in a positive way. Because you know what? If you can't find all this stuff, how could you help the person in the first place?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know who you've been to before. Did you hear all this stuff before, maybe in pieces and portions?
So I mean, I'm hyper aware of like, you know, things that are going on in my body. I generally don't ignore them, and so I've gone to the doctor. I mean, I've been to, you know, what's their standard doctors quite a lot. Like I just got finished with the ENT and the pulmonologist and the lung testing and then yes, so I know about. These are all things that I am aware of, but didn't know how to correct, if that makes sense, because I wasn't given any guidance as to how to correct them. So there's no program.
But define it in the first place, and then the interplay and interconnection between all of them.
Right.
That's also more than just finding it.
Sure.
Yeah. So this whole interplay is what has to be corrected in the right way, right exactly correctly. And again, like I said to you before, too, if you do the very advanced medical blood work, then you have a baseline. But I guess you have enough of a baseline from all the testing you've done, I suppose.
Yeah, I've done a lot of, yeah.
Like you have a baseline showing blood sugar issues, thyroid issues, adrenal issues.
Those I don't, and so that's the thing. Like we had this conversation about, you know, where do you fall within that range, that normal range, and where does that normal range get established? And I was always within normal range or normal limits, and I'd call the doctor and I'd say, well, talk to me about, you know, on the low end of, let's just, you know, for hypothetical B12. You know, I'm showing, even though I take a B12 supplement every day, and no, you're fine. You're within limits. You're fine. You're everything's good. Your blood work is good. Period. You know, like they just put a period at the end and then send you off, but yet you're still experiencing new symptoms, and that's where you come in because I just I didn't know how to.
If you did the $8,000 blood work, you wouldn't get that type of response.
Right.
The $350 blood work, of course. Not the $8,000 blood test. Like for example, I have one person who said, okay, well, Alex, you said this guy's liver needs help, but his liver enzymes are perfect. I said, let me ask you a question. Have you heard of albumin? Have you heard of globulin? Can you explain to me about phosphorylation with the liver? How about emulsification of fats? How about production of glutathione? How about oxidation reduction? How about conversion of glucose to glycogen? And how about the relationship with creation of or balancing of progesterone? How about the metabolism of xenoestrogens? How about the metabolism and conversion of estrogen 1 to estrogen 2? Does that show up in the liver enzyme test? He got mad.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So it's not that simple. How about the liver? How about the liver clearing out alcohols? How about all that? That does not show up in a liver enzyme test. That's not all the liver is. So when people want to limit it to, well, liver enzymes are perfect, so therefore you're perfect. You could have a dead person with perfect liver enzymes too. If you take a freshly dead person.
Goodness.
You know, so if you could take a freshly dead person with perfect liver enzymes, what does that tell you? It tells you a lot. It tells you quite a bit. So, I mean, so that's the thing. So it's like if you do that $8,000 blood test, it's going to look at albumin, it's going to look at globulin, it's going to look at all those things. It's not just going to be like, oh, my liver enzymes are perfect. So that's not all that exists with the liver, for example. And so it is with the other organs, too. You know?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the thing. All right? So, I mean, if you choose to do that test, you could do it before you start this program so you could actually have a serious, solid, independent baseline. And then you will see the feat of changing this stuff. Like I've had some people, one woman she's a big scientist. She's like works for countries. So I told her she had Roundup, glyphosate. Mm-hmm. She got a hair analysis, not a urine analysis, because she knows the urine analysis is, not going to show long-term Roundup exposure. Lo and behold, the Roundup came up in the hair analysis. She was stunned because she didn't think she had Roundup, but it came up in the hair analysis. There you go. All right?
Huh.
The more tests you do, so you could see that what I'm telling you is correct and true, even though you have your own experiences. Great, fantastic.
The one thing I had forgotten, and I'm curious if it would have affected my eyes at all, because I didn't wear any makeup, I didn't have any lotions on or anything in my hair, but I did have contacts in, and I'd forgotten about it until about halfway through.
I don't know. I mean, but when I test you in future tests, if you do it without contact, we'll see if the eye situation changes. But a deficiency in the eyes because, if you're low in vitamin A, you are, or poor vitamin A metabolism, that'll affect your eyes.
Okay.
So I don't think the contacts would have done that much. The body would have. No, I don't think so. But we'll see.
Okay.
Mhm. But when the brain has issues, it also affects the eyes, anyways.
I see.
Yeah, the two are connected. That's why we read the people in the testimonials who had the MS and were going blind. Well, it's connected. I didn't work in their eyes. All right.
Yeah.
But the rods and cones repaired.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if there's any relation to my eyes. They've been diminishing significantly over the last few years, which is different than they've been staying in one course for a while.
A lot of people damaging their eyes from the light from,
Sure, the blue light.
The blue light and damage to the eyes. But also the thing is that when you have vascular stress, that also shows that you don't have enough of certain antioxidants to protect your eyes. Because they go hand in hand. Same antioxidants that you'd use for your vessels would also be the same that help to fortify the eyes against, the blinding process of blue light.
I see.
All right. So any questions on any of this? Anything you think I missed?
No. Okay, so I guess one question is, and this may have to do with the gastrointestinal stuff, but since I had that asthma uptick in January, I've been experiencing some what I call acid reflux. I don't know if that's the case, but I do have some. The ENT did mention that I had some esophageal irritation, but light. But I'm just curious if that is. I don't know. Did that come up for you at all?
Okay, here's the thing. You could go to the secondary and say you have reflux. You could say you have GERD.
Right.
You have esophageal this, esophageal that. You could say all those things. But what is behind those things? So in this work, you already see you have intestinal yeast. Does that produce problems? Absolutely. You have a glutamine issue. Does that produce leaky gut issues like that? Absolutely. You have enzyme imbalances. Does that produce a problem? Absolutely. Right? So do you have parasites? Does that produce intestinal issues? Absolutely.
And the parasites, you'd mentioned that based on me having dogs, that I would have them. Are they potentially directly related, or is that not at all related?
From other sources. That's an abstract for now. But I'm just saying to you, ultimately, whether it's from the dog or whatnot, there's parasites.
Okay.
But most of the time, people who have pets will have some degree of parasites. I don't want to scare your dogs. They're going to be like, oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
They're talking about us having parasites. You could always deparasite the dogs, too. Just to eliminate that variable. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You could always deparasite the dogs, too.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
So just to give you an example, right? So in terms of the intestinal stuff again, I worked on a lady many years ago who had GERD. No one could get rid of the GERD. I'm like, God, no one could get rid of the GERD. So I'm like, well, what's GERD? Back then I'm like, what's GERD? What is that?
Right.
It doesn't mean anything to me. But we got rid of her so-called GERD because we fixed her yeast and other issues. All right?
Got it.
Even gallbladder imbalance.
What is the yeast? I guess is my is it my diet that I'm?
It doesn't matter because we're about to change all that.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, mercury doesn't help with yeast. Roundup doesn't help with yeast. But parasites don't help either with yeast. But so does weak digestion, poor enzymes. That doesn't help with yeast either. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that don't help. But we got to balance it. That's it. Right. If you go what caused my yeast, you're about to get a whole new program to handle all these things, anyways, step by step.
Right.
You could have been drinking alcohol.
I guess I would be curious.
Vinegar. It could be any number of things.
Even apple cider vinegar, because I rarely drink alcohol.
Rarely. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeast is that thing that, you start growing it, it loves to keep growing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let me start giving you the corrections.
Okay.
Okay, to begin, you're going to do EcoTrue, EcoTrue, that's the brand Silymarin, 2 pills 3 times a day. So this is without food. Without food means at least half an hour before a meal or at least an hour after. And you take it all by itself, just take it down with water. That's to start working on the liver.
And this is something I can get like online or in a health food store, or?
I'm going to tell you where to get everything. So 2 times a day of that one to start working on the liver. The next one is start working on the heart tissue, which will affect the whole body respiration anyways. Will also be EcoTrue CoQ10, 2 pills 3 times a day with food. So with food means in the middle of the meal, not before or after, but right in the middle. Okay? The next one, to start working on the adrenal function, will be bluebonnet, pantothenic acid, 500 milligrams. So you could take 4 twice a day with food. So, for example, in the same meal, you could take 2 CoQ10, 4 pantothenic acid, like that, in the same meal. Now, if you want to take less than 4 at one meal, let's say you want to split it 3 ways, you could do that, but never take more than 4 at one time. Never take more than 8. Taking 7 won't work. You have to take exactly 8, as much as twice a day with food. Like the dosages are really crucial.
Okay.
And also the brands. The next one is also EcoTrue pancreatin. So you take 5 twice a day with whichever of the largest meals, 2 of the largest meals, or to start impacting the cystic cells, you could take it 20 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes before lunch and 20 minutes before dinner. Okay? And again, all by itself, right? So let's say you're taking Silymarin and you're going to take pancreatin. So you could take Silymarin, let's say if you took it half an hour before, then you could take the pancreatin and then wait another 20 minutes and then you could eat. But don't take them together at the same time.
Okay. It's going to be a chart. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then the next one will be ProBoost, PROBOOST. There's only one ProBoost on the market. It's also called thymic, THYMIC protein A. So what you do is you take 1 twice a day. It's a packet you open up, you put it under your tongue, hold it for at least 3 minutes before you swallow, and then do not eat 15 minutes after taking this. So you don't have to eat 15 minutes later. You don't have to eat at all. Just don't take it for at least.
Alex, was there room to eat in here with these?
No, it's a lot more simple. When you do the chart, it's not like it sounds. Okay, a lot more simple than it sounds.
All right.
Okay. All right, and then okay. So then you have to do also 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of bifido factor, BIFIDO factor from Natrine, NATREN. All right, 1 teaspoon of Natrine bifido factor. So this one you take it an empty stomach in the morning, and you make sure you don't eat for at least 15 minutes after you take it.
At least I missed that.
I'm sorry, at least half an hour after you take it. So 1 teaspoon of bifido, BIFIDO factor from the Natrine, and it's a dairy version, not the non-dairy. Even though it's not dairy, there's this dairy in there to keep the bacteria alive, so it's not like the same thing as eating dairy. Okay? So now that's a very, 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 very gentle start, because normally you need more than one thing to start working on the yeast, but for you, your body, your intestines look like they're very, very, very sensitive. So your body can only start dealing with that, even though there's like usually 2-3 bacteria typically that you have to start dealing with to start handling that intestinal yeast situation. But your body's like, no. Just this for now, please. So I'm like, okay. You know.
Huh.
All right. First thing in the morning, you get up, you take the teaspoon of bifido factor, you wait at least half an hour before you proceed with anything else. And you take it in room temperature water all by itself. Okay?
Okay.
Now, I should warn you, you might start passing a lot of gas when you start doing this. Okay? Just to let you know. Okay, now, also there's one more.
How long generally does that take until it wears off that side effect?
It's just passing gas. It might be a good 3 weeks of passing gas. I'm just letting you know, but that's good. Okay, and there's one more thing for this cycle. So it's to start working on the nerves. So that is, the brands are either Hylands, Hylands, or New Age, Nuage, or Borean, if you could get the 6X dose. Actually, with this one, it doesn't matter which brand. You could just do any brand, Califos 6X. Make sure it's 6X. Kaliphos 6X. So they're small white pellets. It's homeopathic. So you do four times a day. So four times a day. Okay, the Califos. Okay, Califos 6X, four times a day. So with this one, you toss it in your mouth. And again, you let it dissolve, and you don't eat for at least 15 minutes. So in other words, you don't have to eat 15 minutes later. So you can walk around with it in your pocket, and you just toss 4, and then, you toss 4 again. Let's say you toss 4 before bed. Or you could even toss 4, like first thing when you get up in the morning, you could toss 4, and then wait 15 minutes, and then take the bifido factor. That's fine. You could do that also. And you only have another 2 times where you have to toss 4 and 4 into your mouth, and then clean into your mouth. Don't touch it with your fingers. Put it in the cap of the bottle, toss it in your mouth, let it dissolve. Okay, the Califos.
Yep, I've taken those homeopathic.
Yeah, so
the
4
little blue. Yeah.
Yeah, to start working on the nerves.
Okay.
All right. And also, by the way, with the imbalance, I forgot to tell you, so your bones also are misaligned. Okay, so there's misalignments in your skeletal structure. All right. Okay.
Can I ask you, is that could that be due to poor posture?
Of course. Or
yeah. So I mean, I'm 5'10", so or nearly. So I've always had terrible posture, and I'm trying to correct that now. But I'm 38, and I'm trying to correct that because I'm always trying to shrink. So I was just curious if that was.
Yeah, sure. You throw your head forward to get closer to people. I get it.
Yeah.
Taller people all do that.
Yeah.
But if your eyes were very good, you wouldn't necessarily do that. You would be able to move you. It's like kind of like eye-brain connections that are a little off, so you feel maybe sometimes also a little uncomfortable just using your eyes. So you push your head forward and down. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you the phone number for EcoTrue. It's 917-432.
I have to call them to order these?
Yeah. They have a website, but you'd be better off calling them because you're going to get like a 6-week supply, so you could do it like that. So 917-432-7320. Okay? They'll probably forward you to another number, but just call that number. And then the Blue Bonnet you can get from virtually any store. I think Vitamin Shop sells it. I think Westerly Pharmacy, Wilner Chemist. But I think Whole Foods also has Blue Bonnet. But remember, 500 milligrams of the pantothenic acid. Pro Boost is not around in too many places. You have to go to stores like Wilner Chemist to get Pro Boost. Or you could just order it on the web, but make sure you're really getting it directly from the real supplier because there's fake suppliers on the internet.
Okay.
A Califos, that might be a little tough to get, so you might want to just call one of those companies, like Highlands. It was, a little bit out of stock, but came back in stock. Natrine Bifido Factor you could find in many places, in the refrigerator section of, like Vitamin Shop, places like that have it. And that's it for now. Okay, so let me tell you the diet. So you should drink about 9 glasses of water a day. Okay, 3/4 of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, as much as that, 3/4 of a teaspoon a day of Himalayan salt.
Any particular brand of the Himalayan salt? Because, I'm just curious if you have a preferred.
Just make sure it's real Himalayan salt, that's all. Okay. Like, go to a good health food store and get it, real Himalayan salt.
When would I take the Himalayan salt?
Well, this is something that you put in your food.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me give you the diet. Oh, also, sorry, you should sleep 9 hours a night.
9?
Yeah, 9, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people laugh at you when you say that.
But in a pitch black room. See, the thing
I do sleep in a pitch black room. I can't stand any kind of noise. I unplug all of my devices at night.
Okay.
But 9 hours.
Yeah, for now it's 9 hours.
Okay.
But you gotta remember something. If your adrenals were perfect, you wouldn't need 9 hours.
Got it.
But, because you're going to downregulate the cortisol for a certain amount of time and then let it upregulate. When the sun's up, that's when you let it upregulate. So you got to retrain your pineal pituitary and such. So I don't know if you have a hard time sleeping, and maybe you can't.
Yeah, I wake on multiple times a night. Usually, just read for like 2 hours and then fall back asleep.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So your pineal pituitary and adrenals are not, the adrenal pituitary axis is not correct. So that's part of your problem. Okay. So as you start to regulate the adrenals, that's going to start changing. Right?
Just curious if there's a time frame that you recommend, like an 11 to whatever, or 10 or midnight to, or does it matter? Just 9 hours period is okay.
I mean, 9:30 or 10, if you could go to bed at that time. I know that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But if you did that like a teenager in high school,
right.
That would be the healthiest thing to do.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm. The people who live the longest are asleep early and awake right when the chicken rooster goes off or whatever.
Right.
Dawn, like that. The cyclical stuff does a lot for the brain and does a lot for your hormones. It's serious stuff. All right, so let me give you the food list. So one column is yes, another column is no.
Okay.
From the yes column, you could do brown rice 1 day a week. So that means you could do it several times that day if you want, but only 1 day a week. Black rice 2 days a week. Quinoa.
When you say black rice, like wild or just black?
No, black rice.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, 4 days a week you do quinoa. These are options, not have-tos, right? So 4 days a week you do quinoa, 4 days amaranth, 3 days teff, 2 days buckwheat. Not wheat, but buckwheat. Okay.
What was the 3 days? I missed that.
No, 2 days buckwheat, 3 days teff. Teff, T-E-F-F.
Okay.
Okay. So 4 days yucca, also called cassava. 2 days green plantains, not yellow plantains, but green plantains. Okay, 2 days you could do beans, but no soy, mung, ajuki, or chickpea. And so with your beans, you got to soak them overnight, not from the can. Soak them overnight, throw out the water, and then cook them. All right?
Okay. So dry beans basically in bulk, and then I'm soaking them overnight and doing that with nothing from the can?
Yeah, not from the can, yeah. Now, what you could eat every day if you want is green peas or lentils. Lentils you could do every day also, if you want. Okay, but
any kind of lentils. It can be green, it can be,
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, but the other beans only 2 days a week. Part of that is because your kidneys to be strengthened. So kidneys handling beans, sometimes the phosphorus goes up too high when you eat regular beans, but green peas and lentils don't tend to raise the phosphorus.
Okay.
Okay, so with oils, you could do 1 tablespoon a day of coconut oil if you want.
Okay.
Or you could do 5 tablespoons of olive oil. And remember, that's stuff you put in your food toward the end of the cooking or after cooking, I mean, coconut you could put it in the middle of the cooking, and then olive you could put it toward the end because you don't want to denature and destroy the olive oil.
Okay.
Okay, you could eat any spice you want except for the cayenne-type spices, so no hot spices for now. Okay? Okay, so chicken you could do 3 days. Okay? Cornish hen you could do 1 day.
What was that?
Cornish hen.
Cornish hen?
Yeah, Cornish hen.
Oh, Cornish hen. Oh, interesting.
Hen, yeah. Not ham, but hen.
Weird. Okay.
Cornish hen, if you want.
What if I just opt out of that entirely? Is that something that I can...
No. You don't have to. I'm just giving you options of what you can do. Your body says you can. Okay, you could do quail 4 days a week.
Oh, geez.
Okay, if you want.
Yeah.
You could do fish 3 days a week.
Any kind?
Except for the toxic fish. You have to find non-toxic fish. You can't eat sushi.
So salmon is toxic?
Yeah, non-toxic salmon, like not farm-raised. So you have to really...
Understood.
Yeah, search and make sure you're not getting toxic salmon.
Okay.
Okay, pomegranates, the only fruit you could eat is 2 pomegranates a day, and you could also do 1 glass of unsweetened cranberry juice a day, and if you want to put some stevia in it, you could do that. So I'm not...
What is this? I hate stevia. So with the sugar alternatives, is there, I hate the taste of stevia.
You could also do lohan, and that's it.
What was that?
Lohan go. Monk fruit.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing else. Nothing else.
No honey?
No, not now. You got to fix all that yeast stuff first.
Okay.
It's not that honey is bad, it's just bad now.
Okay.
It's not that fruit is bad, other than 2 pomegranates a day. It's that other fruit is bad in your body now. So it's what's in your body now. Okay, you could eat any vegetable you want except for tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, green pepper, spinach, mushrooms, and also no sweet vegetables. Sweet vegetables are carrots, beets, sweet potatoes, sweet squashes. Again, that has...
not eat squash?
Cannot. You could eat squash that is not sweet.
Okay.
Okay?
And no sweet potatoes, you said?
Right. Any vegetable is fine except for tomato, potato, eggplant, green pepper, spinach, mushrooms, and also no sweet vegetables. So any, like beets, potatoes, sweet squashes, for now, no.
Okay.
Not forever, but just for now, based on your weaknesses.
Yep.
As we get rid of those weaknesses, you're going to be able to eat more and more things. Okay, so on the no list, to continue on the no list, no eggs, no white rice, no wheat, corn, soy, oats, rye, barley, spelt, kamut, nuts, seeds, dairy.
No nuts?
Yeah, for now. Based, all based on your weakness. As you fix the weakness, it will change. Okay, no beef, goat, lamb, pork, turkey, shellfish, ostrich, buffalo. No vinegar, alcohol, chocolate, fried food, grilled food, rotisserie food, microwave food. So then you have to cook your meats will have to be cooked. Meats, animal flesh has to be cooked stew style, so marinated and stewed, that type of style, like water, spices, vegetables, like that. And the second way is baking, but by baking I'm not saying frying with hot air. So when you bake, you can't make it get so hot that oil will start to sizzle. Otherwise, you produce toxic compounds. So, but the safest way is really a stew style of preparing meats. So marinated, spices, vegetables, that's stew style. Doesn't mean a ton of water. I'm not talking about the stew. I'm talking about cooking your food with water and then maybe putting a fat, an oil in toward the middle or the end, like that, for your meats. Okay, so of course the plantains, you don't fry the plantains, obviously, so it has to be boiled, like you call it boiled. Okay, for example. Okay, so now, so ratio of protein, carb. Okay, so only cooked or lightly cooked vegetables, no raw vegetables for now. Okay.
Wait, what was that? Hold on, no raw vegetables? For now. Cooked or lightly cooked. Again, that has to do with your digestive strength. Got it.
Not that raw vegetables are bad, they're bad for you now.
Right.
It's all about where are you now.
Mm-hmm.
A plate of food should look like this. You draw a circle, you do 3 segments.
Okay.
Segment, 35% protein, 40% carb, and, of course, 25% cooked or lightly cooked vegetables.
Okay.
Now, you could do a separate one plate separately a day of cooked vegetables, but don't take any supplements with the cooked vegetables. You just eat extra.
Period? Like, do not take any vegetables with the...
No. I'm saying you could do one plate of cooked vegetables separate per day from this 35, 40, 25 plate of food. So, but you don't take any supplements with that. All right? If you want. So let's say you do 3 meals. Your 3 meals have to have 35% protein, 40% carb, 25% cooked or lightly cooked vegetables. But if you want to do a separate cooked vegetable plate, if you eat more vegetables, you could do that. But don't take any supplements with that cooked vegetable plate. Okay? So you could, like, in the beginning, weigh your food to see how to get these ratios right. Now, so you might say, wait a minute.
Good job.
You might say 35%, 40 carb, and
I was surprised.
Yeah, you might say that. You might say, well, how does that make any sense? If you go study your endocrine system, like, for example, a lot of vegetarians discovered, wow, it's bad for my hormones. My endocrine hormones are getting messed up after a while. Yeah, because you need insulin and glucagon in the meal to balance out hormone secretions. And how do you do that? There has to be a ratio between protein and carbs. So people think about digestion alone, they don't think about hormones. So when you add the hormones in, you start to understand more deeply. So now you get the chaperones to be released, carry the nutrients. So you need the protein, carb, and fat mainly to carry the nutrients, right? To open up the pathways and carry the nutrients. Without the chaperones, you're not necessarily going to absorb the nutrients as you should.
Did you mention gluten? I didn't hear that, so I just wanted to ask.
Gluten is in wheat, corn, soy, oats, rye, barley. That has gluten.
Okay, so it's actually gluten-free.
So the word gluten is abstracted because it doesn't mean anything. Gluten comes from a grain.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So if you look at all the grains you're eating, they're all low gluten.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. See, secondary abstracts are useless, just specifics. So that's why I give you specifics. Okay? All right. And if you eat avocados, you could just add avocados separately. They're not a fruit. They just add those separately, and, on top of your vegetables if you want.
Okay, great.
And of course, you're not cooking avocados, right? You're just going to eat the avocados.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what you do. What you do for now.
And you said for how long for this one?
This is a 4-week cycle for the first one. So wait till you get all your supplements together and take them for 4 weeks.
You said something about getting a 6-week course of supplements?
Get a 6-week supply so you don't run out. So in other words, when we test you again in 4 weeks, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm out, and then you have to wait to restock. So you want to get an excess of maybe 6 weeks so you don't have to wait to restock.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, before I forget, and I don't know if it's something you can answer or not, but I was just curious about the health of my ovaries.
Well, I told you ovaries are weak.
They are weak?
That's one of the things I told you, yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
After colon came ovaries, and after ovaries came cystic breast. But when you listen to the recording, and you'll hear all that stuff. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So there's hormonal imbalance. Because undernourished ovaries.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've landed in the hospital for cysts on my ovaries. That's why I was just curious.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Once you have cysts anywhere, it doesn't matter. It's just the bottom line is you got to correct the things that are leading to the cyst. Because let's say, for example, you had one cyst in your left pinky toe. It doesn't matter. It's actually even a secondary unimportant thing because the body will show you what to do. That's the whole point of this whole thing. So one could say, oh, I got cysts, what should I do for the cyst? Okay, your thyroid is involved, your immune response is involved, your pancreatic enzymes are involved, your melatonin is involved, your cortisol is involved, your calcium metabolism is involved, your delivery of your calcium is involved, your calcium to magnesium ratios are involved, fungal bacteria is involved, yeast is involved, sugar alcohols are involved, hormones are involved, parasites are involved, with the tyrosine kinase, vitamin D is involved, with the gene expression. So as you start to look at this more and more, it's like, oh my God, even herpes is involved because the DNA viruses do things to the DNA, so they interfere with the proper replication. So there's so many things. Blood sugar is involved. So you could go on and on about, is it this, is it that, is it that, is it this? It's all these things combined. All of it is involved. You see the difference? Huh?
All right. And in terms of the way, you gave a visual earlier about doing the 3 circles or 2 overlapping.
You make a circle representing a plate of food, and you do 3 segments of the circle.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could see the ratio 35 protein, 40 carb, and then 25 vegetable. So in other words, the carb is always higher than the protein. And one might say, well, why would I do such a high ratio of protein to carb? Where in brain chemistry, in your case, that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. I'm excited. Honestly, I'm just overwhelmed by trying to write this all down at some point and being able to follow it. Honestly,
it'll be much easier than you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure this diet is probably much easier than diets you've done in the past, no?
Oh, I haven't. No, not really, because I haven't really dieted that much. Let me ask you about coffee and tea. I drink a lot of tea, mostly herbal. But is that something?
You have to leave that out for now.
I have to leave it out?
Yep, for now.
Oh, that's
if you want to drink chai without the black tea, that you could do. If you want to drink ginger tea, that you could do. So spice-type teas you could drink. If you want to drink saffron tea, that you could do. Stuff like that. But don't do these teas with strong biochemical stuff, like if you do black teas, you know, but your adrenals need to balance out and the caffeine is going to stimulate the adrenals, no. We got to balance the adrenals. So don't look for so your energy might go down because of the removal of those things. So you might feel your actual real energy levels, what they really are.
Right.
So your energy might go down. But that's because you're not going to be relying on fake energy. All right?
So again, just to clarify, I can do certain black teas. I can.
Cannot.
But I can do ginger.
Yeah, you could do ginger. You could do chai without the black tea, because what chai is, is spices. So you could do spice type teas, but don't do caffeine type.
Okay.
Biochemical type teas like chamomile. Don't do the things that affect your up and downs, you know, of your energy. Don't do that. Just do spice type teas. So there's only ginger and chai without black tea left, really, and saffron teas. That's basically all that's left.
And what about decaf coffee?
No coffee for now. No coffee.
Okay.
Not even decaf. Decaf is not 100% caffeine free, anyways. Besides that, a lot of coffees are heavily sprayed with Roundup too. That's one of the places you can get Roundup from.
Even the organic stuff, because I only really use organic.
There's also organic fraud, okay? Because there's like one of my friends was getting fluffy and fat. She didn't stop drinking her coffee, and so she's like, "Oh, but I'm drinking organic coffee." But I'm like, "But I'm finding Roundup in your body." Yeah. Come to find out, she researched a coffee field, and she found, what did she find? Well, right next to that coffee field, so-called organic, is a field that's sprayed that's not organic. So is there a glass wall between the two? No. Even if you had a glass wall, how about the dirt underneath?
Sure, of course.
How about if you do putting your coffee field downstream from the organic field, so the pesticide that you spray over the non-organic field could go downstream in the water and hit the so-called organic coffee field. There's a lot of fraud. Oh, I only sprayed that side. If your coffee field is right next to the non-organic field, you're spraying the whole thing. So you could choose the air direction and say, well, I didn't spray on the other side. I only sprayed that side. What, air doesn't move? So you got to check all the fraud with the whole coffee business.
Okay, and then, sorry, you may have said this, and I will listen to the recording, obviously, multiple times over, but dairy stuff.
Until you know dairy.
No dairy, okay. And but I can drink, like, what's the alternative to dairy? Like, can I drink a coconut or you said no soy, I know that, but, like, in terms of dairy replacement, if I wanted to put something in my tea or whatever.
Just drink water for now.
Drink water.
And you have the option of drinking 1 glass of cranberry juice a day.
Okay.
But unsweetened.
1 glass of cranberry.
Yeah, unsweetened cranberry juice. Right? And you could
no
add,
other drinks, like that's it.
You could add stevia and Lohan to it, that's about it. Unsweetened cranberry juice. Yeah. Just water for now. Water and then the ginger tea or the chai tea. That's it.
All right.
Yep.
Is there anything else that I need to know or that you recommend just in terms of like how people have sorted this all?
No, just trust me. It's not going to be as hard. It's like, okay, imagine when you were going up in grades in school and something got intimidating. Oh, no, how am I going to do this? And you did it. It's the same thing here. Right?
All right, very good, Alex. And so, what's next? When do I set something up with you in a few weeks, or do I just
call me after you completed 3 weeks of this, and then set up an appointment. So when you complete the 4th week, we do the next appointment.
Okay, 3 weeks.
All right. So you're satisfied or surprised or happy with what you got today?
I appreciate. Yeah, of course there's an element of surprise to some extent. I knew, based on what Ari had told me that I would be shocked. I'm shocked, but it all makes sense. I think.
Shocked?
Say that again.
Been shocked by the accuracy?
Yeah. I guess what I was, more than anything, during the 2-hour period, I was sort of like, am I doing this wrong the entire time? And I was,
It's fine. If you did wrong, I would have called you.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. I so appreciate what you do. I'm really, and that's why I say it's so on point that I do trust that I'm going to buy these supplements and the foods and do the program, and I'm really excited to feel whole instead of in part. So it's great.
Okay,
I'm already thinking of like 4 other people who could use this way more than me, my sister included. But yeah, so.
Remember, this is just step 1, stage 1. A whole bunch.
Yeah, it's just really, it's reinforcing somehow. It's like, it's good to hear that that it's all making sense. So that's really a nice thing.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Alex, thank you so much. And I may not start right away, like if it's in the next couple of days or anything, but I will quite soon. And then 3 weeks from that point, I will give you a ring.
Okay.
And you said all in, basically. And that's
all what?
All in terms of like the diet stuff, like just for that.
Yeah, you got to do everything exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Every detail counts. Every single detail counts.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Hey, you too.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
I hope this recorded. Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.